I'm applying to jobs because I just found out last week that I'm being laid off from my job. And some of these companies have lost the plot. They've lost their mind. Because why did this company list the process to get the job? 4 interviews and a written homework. So something like a written essay or whatever. And I'm like, if I do 2 interviews and I don't end up getting this job, I'm going to crash out. 4? Can I sue for pain and suffering? Time wasted? Because what is going on in the world?
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
I got laid off my job of 2 years in February of this year. Like many people who got laid off this year, I was one of them. And I'm gonna tell y'all the crazy story, how it happened, my severance package, and where I'm at now, okay? So I've been working for Morgan Stanley for just shy of 2 years. I kind of felt something going on because there was a mass layoff in July of last year, in November of last year, and then in January of this year, they abruptly switched my position. They eliminated my position, put me in a different department that was way lower than, what I was doing. So it just was given, they're about to fire you. I don't know why, but the day that they actually laid me off, well, we got laid off, I called out that day. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, you know what, they switched me to this position. I was hating the position. I called out. The same day, there was a big article that Morgan Stanley was laying off a bunch of employees. I logged into the system and I IM'd my team and I was just like, hey, I just seen this article. I'm off today, but we're about to get laid off. And I see something on my schedule. I see a meeting on my schedule. And they were like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. We just got moved to a new position. It's probably just a meeting about our new position. About 2 hours later, I was being added into a group chat, text message, and my coworkers were saying, yes, we got laid off and we just got walked out the building. I'm so glad that I didn't go, because if they had to walk me out of the building, I would have been so freaking embarrassed, okay? Then they proceeded to blow up my phone, leave me voice messages saying it's imperative that you call us back today. We need to have a conversation. Listen, I called out before I knew I was getting, laid off. I will not be calling you back. You can fire me tomorrow, which is what they did. So it was February 15th, and they basically said, effective March 15th, you are no longer an employee. You do not have to work during this 4-week period. We'll pay you, but that's when your employment officially ends. And then they gave us severance based on how long we had been with the company, which the severance was not a lot for me because I was only there for 2 years. My coworker was there for 20 years, right? One of the stipulations for the severance, basically there was other positions available and they encouraged us to reapply, but obviously they didn't move us to those positions because they wanted to pay us less. They want to lower the salaries. They trying to cut budgets through salaries. And so they basically said if you get rehired within 6 months, you have to pay the entire severance package back. And I just think that's wrong, because I went through so many interviews for this job. So it could take you 2 to 3 months just to get, back in the door. And you have to pay everything back. What if you didn't have savings and you needed to use some of that severance when you were not working? But if you come back to the company within 6 months, you have to give them everything back. That's crazy to me. So long story short, I got a job somewhere else. I got a job really quickly. It pays a lot less, and it sucks, to be honest, okay? I'm getting paid significantly less, and I'm doing significantly more. I actually hate it. I genuinely hate it, but I didn't want to take the risk of just living off of a severance. And I'm a firm believer in my Lord and Savior. And he says, if you're faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many things. And so I'm being faithful during this period, this transitional period, this unexpected, life-changing event where I lost a very good job, a very high-paying job, a very, very high-paying job. But I just know in the new year, God is about to bless me. I'm about to get a better job. I'm already interviewing for a promotion at the job I just started, so I know I'm going to be okay. And if you got laid off, I know it's hard, especially during the holidays, but you will bounce back.
Okay, so am I the only one that got laid off maybe 2 months ago and thought that they were going to be the exception because you've been applying to jobs all day, all night, and thought you were going to get a job real quick, but you're almost on month 3 and you still haven't heard anything? So one day you're like, it's okay, the right job is going to come at the right time. And then the next day it's damn, nobody wants you? Are you a failure? I says, did you even do a good job? And the next moment it's it's okay because this is the time that you put yourself first. You know what I'm saying? This is the time that you go after everything that you say you wanted to go after, being a content creator, for instance, because you're on day 35 or something like that. But then at the same time, you then realize wait a minute. No money, no job, still sitting here feeling to be a big TikTok creator. How do I keep going? How do I keep pushing through? Help me.
Good morning. It's January 24th, 2025. I was just laid off. I work for a smaller home builder, smaller developer in Missouri. And yesterday, the Home Builders Association gave a pretty bleak forecast of the home building industry. And I know that we were having a hard time for a while with sales because people have been very uncertain in the last couple of months. And especially in the last couple of days, we have noticed that a lot of things have changed with all the executive orders. Hiring freezes in government. Also, the contractors are not being hired at the moment. A lot of the people that are immigrants are being scared. I mean, basically hunted down. They're scared. They're not going to be working in the home building industry or any industry right now. So the economy as a whole is about to take a hit, and people don't know how they're going to fare. So they're not buying homes at the moment. It's pretty scary, but I know we'll be okay at some point. We'll figure it out. But I know I don't have the worst problems at all, and I'm just one of many. But it's a little scary right at the moment, and it's not just scary for me, and my family. It's also scary for this country, and hopefully we can figure out what's happening. So, we know what's happening, but we can figure out a way to get through this as a country and a better country for it. I really, really hope. I have a belief that we, as a whole, as Americans, are good people. Just there's been a lot of poisoning of our people here, and it's very, very sad. But anyway, to my personal issue, I just want you guys aware that it's happening, and to keep an eye out and figure out how we can work together to help each other to, get beyond this. Okay? Stay strong.
It's been 6 months since I got laid off, and I've been unemployed, so let's talk about it while I get ready. So I've talked about this before, but I've got laid off in August of 2023. My first time ever getting laid off. If you are in tech, you probably understand that this is probably one of the worst job markets that we've ever experienced. Being unemployed is really scary because you just don't know what's going to happen to you, how you're going to pay the bills, what the future looks like. When you think about it, that's just how life is on a day-to-day basis. One of my big goals this year was to realize that you can't just keep planning for the future. Why not plan for the now instead? And that has helped me stay afloat and mentally sane. I've applied to over 100 jobs, got rejected by 100. I got my resume reviewed like 7 times. I'm doing all the work, trust me. But again, for those who know, you know. Fast forward 6 months later, what have we learned, Tanya? We learned a lot. Number 1, rejection is God's protection. Being rejected is not fun. It's very demoralizing. You feel like everything you've done in the past doesn't matter. But then I realized I was getting very, very desperate as far as finding a job, to the point where I was just applying to everything and anything. And when they start rejecting you, you're just like, what am I going to be doing? What am I good enough for? So then I decided to pivot. The past few months have allowed me to really focus on creating content. Although my numbers have been pretty shit across channels, it still doesn't stop me from creating. Pause. Backtracking 6 months ago in August, a week before I got laid off unknowingly, I opened up an LLC. I purchased my domain, and I decided to invest some time into something or in an idea that I've always thought about, which was having my own business, creative business. Fast forward, last week, Friday, I nailed my very first client. Shout out to my friend Alejandra for making the connection. I'm still processing because I feel like I'm very new to this, but at the same time I'm not, because I have the qualities and the skills, and what I'm doing is I'm putting it under a business. And that's exciting, but also very scary because I really don't know what I'm doing from a business perspective. But if I know how to do the creative part, I can learn the business part. That's the beauty of the internet, TikTok, YouTube, everything, free education. So I've been utilizing my time and educating myself on how to do this. Brings me to the bigger question. As I was realizing that I just nailed down my first client, I was laying in bed at night, which is the time where you reflect on your whole entire existence. And then I was thinking to myself, does this support or feed into my dreams? I really wanted to focus on continue building a beautiful platform, but also just growing as a brown desi creator in such a saturated space. That's like my goal. Because we don't have a ton, and I've always said that that's what I really want to do. Why can't I do both? But really the moral of this conversation, and honestly the things that I've learned within the past 6 months, is focus on what really makes you happy, because really life is so short. So if you also got laid off and just trying to figure out what to do, I hope that you are also protecting your peace and making sure that you aren't being so hard on yourself, giving yourself some grace, because we're all in this world trying to figure it out. I'm going to pick out an outfit, make a nice cup of coffee, and go on with my day. I'm rooting for you, and I'm rooting for the both of us. Trust me, I love you all. And of course, stay caffeinated. Okay, bye.
In a matter of minutes yesterday, my family became a statistic in this economic chaos, I guess we would call it. My husband got laid off. His entire team got laid off. People in Australia in the company got laid off. And ironically, I walked in on it because homeboy did not put the keys where they belong, so I had to go in his office to get them. And I saw everyone's face on the Zoom call, and I knew immediately what was going on. And it sucks. We have to pull our kids from daycare because the $900 a week isn't feasible right now. And luckily, we are debt-free except the mortgage, and I have my emergency fund. You know, I'm always preaching my finances. And this is why. This is why. This is the reality of it, and this is where we are. The things that scare me about the situation are my kids not having the daycare activities that help. I'm scared of me and my husband turning on each other at home because of extra stress, and the kids there too, while I'm still working a full-time job being the breadwinner. So yeah, this is life these days. We'll be okay.
Guys, I just woke up with a meeting on my calendar from the big boss at my job. Why? Do you all think this is a layoff? I don't know. Pre-said be positive, bitch. I don't know. Bitch, I'm scared. Woo! Positive. Woo! Woo! I got fired. That bitch is cry too. But this is the new chapter. You bitches better be sick of me. The breakfast of a champ.
Breakfast for a champ.
Because I still won.
Right.
I could never lose. How could I lose if I already chose?
Ooh.
Like.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
This is a great question, and I'm here to answer it. The question goes, how do you afford to be laid off for a year? Quite honestly, you can't afford to be laid off for a year. And my answer is going to vary, and it's probably going to vary with everybody else because we all have different backgrounds, different approaches to money, and different ways of spending. I started that year with a little bit of a severance that I was able to get for a previous role before I got laid off. And once I was officially laid off, I worked through Washington State to declare unemployment benefits. This lasted 6 months, and it was about $999 per week for those 6 months. I also changed my spending habits, and I no longer went out. I didn't do my hair. I also set budgets for myself along the way. It was not perfect. It was quite an adjustment because of the lifestyle that I had before, but I was able to at least create a routine for myself. I also didn't travel, and I really just buckled down in terms of spending because I didn't have any new income coming in. And fast forward, after my unemployment ran out, I decided to start my own business and ultimately become self-employed. For the first couple of months, I was just setting up my business, but luckily I was able to land a client within 3 weeks. And following that, I finally landed some gigs through Rover, which brought in essentially some side income. Fast forward till now, I've been building my business, I have my Rover gigs, and I'm still in the job market for work. Overall, being laid off is definitely not affordable, but you make it work. In terms of other ways that I'm trying to quote-unquote afford being laid off is having a savings, managing my stock portfolio again, and really just trying to get my business off the ground. The other thing I will say is that being laid off also makes you really vulnerable. And in these situations, it's even more important to lean on your support system and accept help. And if you're anything like me, sometimes you're reluctant to receive help or accept help or even ask for help. And in these times where you're trying to figure out how you're actually going to afford being laid off, sometimes it's okay to just lean on your support system. Going through this process, I'm realizing that there are people out there that just genuinely want to help you. And I'm not saying I'm receiving any sort of financial aid by any means, but given some of the things that I've been going through personally, I definitely have an amazing support system that has allowed me to have a roof over my head, at least until I figure out the rest of my life. So hopefully and eventually I can actually afford life. I do have to move soon because this is all temporary, and right now I'm hoping that I have some opportunities that follow through. So this is still a work in progress, but I hope that provides some perspective. And if you're somebody that's been laid off yourself, let me know how you've afforded being laid off.
She gave some really good tips. You have to make it work. As you lose your job, you have to just scramble. And I know that it's tough, but there are always ways. And I know it's tough for a lot of you out there, but please take heart. That life does improve. If you don't give up, life does get better.
Well, second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're gonna lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild. And I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I am scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got laid off. So I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I was really hoping at one point I would make money on TikTok, and I still only have 1,500 followers or whatever. So if you could just blow this up and let's get 10,000 followers plus whatever, because I might be homeless in a week or two if I can't figure it out. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday, a way better Tuesday than me. And if you have any tips, tricks, or whatever
to help right now and get me through this. Greatly appreciated. Yeah.
I was just about to make some bagels, so I opened up my laptop so I could get a little more light. Last thing I was doing on my laptop was looking at my email, I guess. So I just got, that really sucks. Of all of the jobs that I've been applying to the last 2 weeks, it's definitely the job I was most excited about. Because they, oh my gosh, wouldn't be moving forward with my application basically. So this is my first real no. I'm disappointed, but also it obviously wasn't meant for me. Rejection is redirection, as a lot of you guys have been telling me, and I've been telling myself every single day. So it's not a big deal. We're gonna move on from it, but yeah, this was my first no. And now I'm gonna make my bagels. I try to share most of my positive, not so much of my negatives, although I am honest with you guys. Last few weeks have been filled with uncertainty, and it also has been filled with positivity and support. I just wanted to say that I remember that as I wake up each morning and I try to find things to fill my day with, that's a blessing in itself right there.
Visual effects artists, please stitch this video and tell the story of how you were laid off. I will go first. I was actually laid off twice. Once last year, right before Thanksgiving, I was furloughed because the show that I was supposed to work on either got canceled or they basically just ran out of work for lighting. So a bunch of us got furloughed, and that was fine because I got to keep my insurance and everything. A few months later, this year, they called me back, and I was working. Things were busy. We were in overtime, and then I got a meeting put on my calendar with HR. I was like, okay, what is this? And so I get into it. It's a HR person I've never met, talked to, seen, clearly corporate HR or something like that, and one of the new studio heads. And they explain that while we're busy right now, the shows that we were going to work on got pulled, canceled, sent to Canada, whatever. They said that they had to lay me off. It wasn't performance or salary based, that there purely was just no work. And I was like, okay. And then meanwhile, there was a town hall about it. And they said that while we are super busy right now and we need to keep doing the OT to get the current work done, it is going away. So the lighters got a lot more notice than some of the other departments. I had time to try to figure out how to pivot, but all the while I'm getting texts from colleagues in the industry. I'm seeing posts on LinkedIn. People are getting laid off left and right. And we're just like, what? So now, fast forward to the writers striking. This is where we are. But the bleeding in VFX has been going on for quite some time. And I think the strike happening is just calling attention to a lot of underlying problems that need to be addressed within our industry. So please don't be silent. We need to keep talking about this, and we need to be heard.
I was laid off yesterday, surprisingly. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I have 6 weeks severance, which essentially gives me 6 weeks to find a job. My husband is unemployed also. He's been looking probably for almost a year for a job and hasn't found anything. So we are, to say the least, more than a little fucked. Also, our mortgage has to be renewed in June. And mortgage rates are not what they were 5 years ago. The orange Dorito down south is making our economy go crazy. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a job, never mind in my own field. So to say I'm terrified would be putting it very lightly.
Getting laid off was one of the best things that's happened to me. I'm very privileged to say that, I know. But this is the first time in a very long time that I have just had time to sit and think about myself. And it's been a really fun adventure. I'm like, I have no idea what's next, but I know that I've put my health first. I always have a clean house, and I'm a happy wife. I know this isn't going to last forever, but I never thought I'd be so optimistic getting the boot from corporate world. I listened to a podcast today that talked about like different levels of wealth. There's like financial, time, family, and it really opened my eyes on like what I want my wealth to be. And for me, it's like spending time with loved ones and being in nature. And I'm really going to start focusing on that.
So as many of you know, within this past year, I went through 2 layoffs. I worked in the recruiting space. Oh my God, it's my first time talking this morning. And it's been a doozy of a year, to say the least. But what's crazy is that we have come up on the 1 year of the first layoff that I went through. So I want to chat about a few things I feel like I've learned over this past year. I probably should have left that company at least a year before that layoff happened, and I felt it in my gut, and I didn't listen to that feeling. And ultimately, like, everything happens for a reason, and that's fine. But moving forward, I would like to do a better job of listening to my gut when it comes to my career. Some other things I've learned is that, I guess just for myself in general, the idea of being financially tied to one job and one source of income again gives me a lot of fear. With both layoffs, it was just, the first time in my career so far I've experienced just kind of that crippling panic that sets in when your sole source of income is taken from you, and your health insurance and so many things that are outside of your control. Something else I learned is that kind of corporate culture has been so ingrained in us and in our generation and the generations before us. And I really thought that there was just one career path for me, that recruiting was the thing I was good at, and that's what I was going to do. And I'd been good at it, and I was just going to continue in that space and down that career path. And I've realized over this past year, and especially the past few months since my second layoff, that the skills that made me a really good recruiter make me good at a lot of other things. And that maybe I can pivot, maybe I can do something completely different that I never thought I could do. I act like I've been in my career for so long, but I really haven't. And there's so many other things out there I could be doing. And lastly, I have learned that I am much happier outside of the corporate 9-to-5 life. Like, yes, the stress of not having like stable income is a lot, but the flexibility to own my own life and schedule and income is so rewarding, and I feel so much more just like fulfilled as a human being that I don't really know if I want to go back to that life. So those are just some things I've learned over this past year. It's been a doozy.
Hello, Internet. My name is Eden. I'm an archaeologist, or at least I was, before I was fired on Friday with thousands of other federal employees. I've thought about making TikToks about archaeology for a long time. I've dabbled, but it feels really uncomfortable, so I haven't really done it. But today is my first day waking up without a job to go to, and I don't really know what to do with myself, so thought I might utilize this moment to give this a whirl. So feel free to send any questions you have about what being an archaeologist means my way. And I'll do my best to answer this.
I'm ugly crying right now because I have not made any money at all, and unemployment still hasn't paid me, and I've had a couple people interested in taking my apartment, but then they just fell through last second, and I'm like, we're days away from July 1st, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm gonna pay rent. Like, I like had no idea, and I've had like half of it. And I just won this fucking giveaway, which I was just like, oh, this is cool. Like, I won like a travel, so I was like, I can use this for my birthday. Because it was just like a travel gift card. And they go, yeah, we can give this to you, or you can pick cash. You can choose your prize. And I'm like, there was no cash in the giveaway stuff below. Like, it never said anything about cash. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, how does the cash work? And they're like, we'll just Venmo you. And I'm like, like, I literally responded, I was like, you guys don't even know how much, like, you're blessing me right now. Like, this is insane. Like, so I knew I won, and I was like, okay, let's just wait, because, like, you don't know if it's actually going to happen. And they just fucking Venmoed me the money. And I'm like, I really needed it. And I'm just now I can pay my rent, and I have like another month to like find a job and figure things out instead of like scrambling and being super stressed. It just feels unreal, and it's weird because I just was talking about like I had this feeling like I wasn't supposed to leave and sublet. Like I had a feeling like something was gonna work out. I had no idea what. And this giveaway today, like I can't even believe it. Like I'm just so blessed. Unreal.
Guys, the amount of times that God had my back when I had no option whatsoever never fails. I got scammed out of $4,800. And after I prayed about it, I got $5,000 from a close family friend about 4 days later. Stuff like that all the time happens, you know what I'm saying? But if you are faithful to God, I'm telling you, he's faithful to you 100% without fail.
5 things I've learned after being laid off for 1 month while living with my parents. 1. Everyone takes the whole laid off situation a little bit differently. Some people are completely bummed and frustrated that they put so much time and effort into their company. Other people like me, it's a blessing in disguise because I unfortunately did not like working at that place at all. 2. I don't care how my previous job is doing. A lot of people are like, Bushel, how is your previous job doing? Like, how are your other coworkers doing? Who's taking over your, like, new role or whatever? I don't care. It's not my problem anymore. 3. The reason your company laid you off, no matter what everyone is saying, is poor planning. Point blank, period. They could use the excuse of hiring too many people or paying people too much or restructuring or reorganizing their layout, but it's poor planning. Like, who hired that many people? You guys did. Who's deciding the salaries? You guys are. Who's deciding the budget? You guys are. 4. So many doors open up. Now that I'm not wasting 8 hours of my day for 5 days doing a job that I don't like, I can use that into doing something I do like. You know, like I can find my passions. I can work towards my passion. I can learn a new skill. And 5, I can restore now. I can sleep better. I can eat better. I can go to the gym. I can update my vision board that I have not yet to complete yet. And I can travel. A lot of people travel after getting laid off because they have no PTO to use. They have no sick days. Like they can do whatever they want for how long ever they want. I had a trip planned to Honduras months before I got laid off. When I got laid off, I was like, well, this is nice because I can literally just relax for a week in another country by the beach with my friends. And the best part is I don't got to think about work at all.
What's with all the companies that laid people off all of a sudden hiring again for the roles of the people they laid off? I may sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I don't give a single fuck. What I think happened is it was in vogue, it was in style to lay people off at tech companies late 2022, early 2023. And tech companies took that as an opportunity to blame the economy to just get rid of people that were difficult or they didn't like. AKA me. Perhaps a less insidious reason is that companies are just frankly so fucking bad at forecasting their business and their revenue, and they really didn't know and were scared and now realize they were wrong in their forecasts. Either way, I'm so fucking tempted to apply to the company that laid me off in January just to make a funny. Should I do it?
So when are we going to
to talk about that the economy in the US is so bad that companies don't even want to hire like us in the US anymore. Everyone's like, oh, well, layoffs are down from what they were at like X time last year. It's like, yeah, they're outsourcing. There's less of us to lay off. They're outsourcing to other countries. I've literally been told that US employees, like by companies, I've been told by people at specific companies that US employees are too expensive to hire and keep right now. So like, what are we gonna do about that, guys? Like, as far as I'm aware, I need money to stay alive. So what are we gonna do about that? I have 2 kids I need to support. Hello?
I am so done. I don't know. It has been 6 months of being unemployed. I was in a job which I did not love, but I did not hate it. I worked my ass off. I worked every time. Now I don't know how to find a new job. It's just hard. I have applied everywhere. I have done all the networking that I could do. It's just hard every time. Every morning you wake up and you see that you got a rejection again. Consultancy is trying to reach you out, but then they never take you up. Survival mode is very hard here. I don't know how to do it. I am losing myself. I was so creative. I was so funny. I lost my funny bone.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.